If you're trying to build a portfolio and you're chasing rate as your number one priority, just go directly to the bank.
I think the perception with rooming houses has come from share houses. So people do think that you're getting a lot of people in there that are, mooching off Centrelink.
Underinsurance is the biggest issue that we see. Building costs, labour costs, replacement rates gone through the roof.
You'll spin your wheels, you'll try and get the cheap money rather than getting the money that's actually going to get you, or getting the funding stack that's actually going to get you the deal. If you actually already have a property inside of a self-managed super fund and you have a loan on that property.
When you are doing the same deal type and you're dealing with the same client type over and over again, your ability to get the options and the strategies to the client in a refined, fast manner.
No longer is a property manager just a rent collector for you.
For heaven's sake, if it's with one of the major banks, please get in touch with me. I actually helped a client that was on 10.74% get their loans down to about the 7.1% mark. That's almost a 4% saving. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Finance This Property That. Welcome, first time guest, Michael Shaw from Avid Hawkes. Now, I have stalked that name to see whether there was a different name, but there is a method to the madness behind that name, which I found out today. And today we're going to get Michael in to share a few bits about his journey, his philosophy. He is a buyer's agent. We're gonna bust some myths, and then find out a little bit about how he views property and how he bought his first property, and then talk about his property portfolio. Mate, welcome. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, is this your first podcast or have you done some before?
It's probably my second or third time being on a podcast, but I haven't been on one in 2 years, so we'll see how it goes.
You're a reborn version.
Yeah.
But have you been in a setup like this before?
This is the first time for this. It's a pretty good setup.
Pretty good setup, eh? Well, we didn't take you to the first original place, which was in Ann Street through the big black gates. It looked dodgy as.
Okay.
So Luke and the team at Umbrella definitely upgraded here for the last couple of years. Mate, again, like I said, thanks for coming on. You are a buyer's agent. Mate, this is actually the first time I ever met you in person. And the reason why we're connected through James Pitt, who, we both do some video content and meta advertising for. And the one thing I see a lot of your posts on LinkedIn, and it's weird when, as a business owner and someone who's, really wants to help people and understand that, you really resonated me with the way you actually talk about people, the way you are passionate about what you do, but also you don't come across as a typical buyer's agent. And for me, I don't ever come across as I hope I don't come across as a typical mortgage broker, because there are people there that are actually there to help you and have got your back, basically. And that's what I got out of your post. And that's why I went to James and like, mate, you got to do the intro.
Yeah.
I just get a good gut feeling. And that's like, and Mike, it's pretty good. Like, we're in a world where there's so few and far between what I call gentlemen or gentle ladies in the game, and try not to, be gender, across the everything. But, mate, and I feel just from what you just put a lot of good out to the world. So I thought, mate, let's get you on. I'm happy to get you to promote some good.
Appreciate it.
Thank
you.
Mate, tell me a little bit about yourself. You're parents. I saw some camping photos. Tell me, family life, like kids.
Yeah,
life.
so we're living up towards Bribie Island these days. My wife Sarah and 2 young boys. So raising 2 boys under 3 is challenging in itself, but I love it. Wouldn't change a thing. Just running my business and doing my thing. So,
now you've got a financial planning background. How'd you get into being a buyer's agent from financial planning?
Well, I started in insurance first. So the first 10 to 15 years of my career was all in risk protection. So I was very much understanding the real risks of when things in life, business, everything can go wrong. And so when I left risk protection, I'd already studied my financial planning qualifications. I moved into a financial planning firm as a mortgage broker to start with. So I did my mortgage broking qualifications. Worked there for a little while. I loved working with people, helping them build property portfolios, but at the same time, I hated banks. I fucking hated them. So I just, I fell out of love of mortgage broking purely because of the introductions and issues with the banks. And then so I moved into more of a role at that company where a client would come in and I'd be able to use my broking, financial planning qualifications, and understanding of accounting to be able to look at their situation and say, okay, where are you now? Where are you trying to get to? And what's the next best step? And then from that, I can go, okay, the first step is you need to speak to an accountant, or the first step is you need to speak to a financial advisor. First step is maybe you need to work out your borrowing capacity with a broker. But from that, I can really understand the steps that clients need to take and not just going, okay, cool, you can buy a property. And I learned a real well-rounded skill set at that company, and that's kind of where I ended up moving into buyer's agency.
So, jack of all trades.
Yeah,
and
jack
trying
of
to
all trades, master of
one.
none.
Trying to master at least one. But mate, so then when it comes to your current role as a buyer's agent,
Yeah.
so what are your philosophies around property buying, and how do you use this with your clients?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of strategies online when it comes to property, whether you go out and you do all the renovations with granny flats and all that kind of stuff. All strategies can work, but my personal philosophy is that I prefer to let the market do the hard work and not me. So I personally prefer to buy existing properties in really good data-backed markets that have all the fundamentals of future capital growth, and it's going to cash flow from day one, and just buy it in there, put a tenant in there, and ideally have low maintenance costs and just hold it for a long period of time. That's my philosophy on property. It's worked for me. It works for my clients. It works for the clients that we worked with at the previous company. And I just know it works. And the beautiful part about it is then you can, as an individual, you can spend your time building your business, working on your employment or whatever it is that you do, spend your spare time with your kids, go play sport, go climb a mountain or something. Don't have to watch what's happening with the market. Don't have to deal with councils or builders or anything like that, and just really let the market do the hard work so you can focus on life.
Yeah, and that's why that's what most people buy property for, is to create the financial freedom that everyone seeks.
That's it.
And you touched on a point where it's like you buy it, hold it, period of time, let time do its thing. Because that's what I'm telling a lot of my clients when they're buying property, and some of them have acquired them so fast and they want to go to the next one. Like, just bloody purchased it 6 months ago. Like, how much more do you want it to do? Okay, it's a time thing. Look, we've set up people that, I've got one client that's purchased 6 properties where it's about to do his 6th property.
Yep.
In 12 months.
Yeah.
But that's so strategic.
For sure.
Like, you can't just do that. But now it's like, bro, you got to, back it up. Back it up. Like, let's just protect it now. And then let's go into that growth phase. So how do you, like, with that philosophy of, like, buying the best asset in a growing data back suburb, like, how do you explain that to a client? Because all they're saying is dollar.
Yeah.
And rent and nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really trying to ask some questions about their lifestyle. Like, how much spare time do you actually have right now? What is the real goal of buying this property? Why are you buying it? Why do you even think property is the next best step? So I go through a lot of steps before we even get started on finding the property. And in some cases, I'm actually talking people out of buying a property altogether. Once I start really asking the questions about their current foundations, like, can they afford a $5,000 bill if that was to come through, if a big maintenance thing happened? Do they have life TPD, income protection insurance? Can they afford that? Really understanding their cash flow situation and their time situation to work out whether or not, which markets we look at, whether we go down like a renovation strategy or we just buy like a property and put a tenant in there. It just really depends on them, how much time they have and what's the reason for buying the property.
But also, you're trying to figure out whether you're the right fit for them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's the key thing when it's a business like yourself. And I don't, I'm sure you don't ever talk about types of properties and things like that when you're first trying to get to know someone.
Exactly.
You're talking more about, hey, why are we talking? Where are you at on your journey?
Exactly.
Where do you want to be?
Yeah.
What does 5 years look like? Okay, well, how many properties does that look like? And you're just sort of narrowing down, and then you're trying to figure out, hey man, who else have you actually spoken to? Like, what advice have you got? Because I don't know. If I get a client that's speaking to another mortgage broker, I just stop the conversation. I go, wait, you can't have two conversations.
Exactly.
I think you gotta pick the one that you actually need, and if they're telling you all the right ones, and it's like, oh yeah, well, what about this other? Oh no, very general. Because I know you're not very generalist. You're very
specific.
Specific. I think I read on your LinkedIn you really like to work with business owners because you understand.
I understand business.
You understand business. So when you're explaining to a business owner, how are you explaining your thought process? I guess different business owner versus non-business owner, like, is it the same conversation that you have, or is
it's two different conversations, because a lot of business owners typically think that their business is the financial plan. So they'll be, they're in their head, they might be thinking, I'm going to grow this business and I'm going to sell it for a profit in the future, and that's going to be my superannuation. Typically they're paying themselves very minimal wage, maybe not paying themselves super at all, and they've got realistically they've got nothing outside of the business. And that's a big problem, because statistically only 6% of businesses actually sell for a profit in the future, if they sell at all. And so if your whole retirement plan is to sell your business, then it's a very risky strategy. So my perspective, especially like with the way AI and things like that are happening, we don't know if we're going to even have a job in 10 years. I think we will. I think there's going to be just humans going to have a better connection, and AI is going to do everything in the background. But still, you don't know for sure if your business is going to be a viable business in the future. So why wouldn't you use your business as the vehicle to start pushing money into your personal wealth, building up property portfolios, building up share portfolios and superannuation and things like that, so that you can get to a position where you're financially free outside of your business, and then selling the business can just be cherry on the top.
Up.
Yeah, it's a cherry on the top if you ever can sell it.
Literally.
And then you can choose what to do. You could either scale yourself out of the business and run a cash flow from there, or you could sell it for a cherry on top.
Oh, use the proceeds.
Yeah.
Pay down debt, or sell property, buy a better performing
Lambo,
property.
whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever. Buy commercial property at the end of it, right? So okay. So what I got out of that is, because of your understanding of accounting, planning, you sort of asked the different, like, same bit similar to me.
Yeah.
I'm not an accountant or financial planner, but I know, and I've been through the process. You're asking those questions and really thinking, provoking the thought.
Yeah.
Going, hey man, like, is this really viable?
Provoking the thought to see if they've thought about it as well.
Yeah.
Like, I've spoken to an advisor, this makes sense. Then, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And then you also get a better understanding of who's on their team.
Yeah, it's very
I
important.
think that's really
Have they
important.
watched too much Instagram, or have they got an advisor in place?
Yeah. Are you finding a lot of clients are coming to you that don't actually they're coming to you first?
Yeah, a lot at the moment. There's obviously a very prominent buyer's agent in the market at the moment who's getting a lot of attention, and a lot of people he's getting the attention from these prospects, and then they're just getting the concept of using a buyer's agent in their mind, and then they're like, okay, well, let's see who the other buyer's agents are. So I get a lot of people coming through as a very first step. And in some cases, it can make sense. Let's have a talk about your goals. In a lot of cases, I'm like, I don't think you're ready to be buying a property. So I refer them to a financial advisor to work out and get the foundations sorted first. Yeah.
I think that's you just touched on, there's a lot of stuff
Noise.
out there that people can consume. It's about trying to figure out what the right thing to consume is.
Yeah.
And I think, the metaverse has got a very good algorithm that'll, can probably hear what we're saying on our phones and stuff like that, and it'll start pumping stuff through. So it's very smart. But are you actually getting the right guidance? And I think that's, even in my industry, there are a lot of people that advertise things that they probably shouldn't be advertising, but hey, look, it works.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying one broker or one buyer's agent's any better than the other. It is really goal dependent, isn't it?
For sure. Like the biggest concern I've got at the moment in the industry is there's a lot of ads that are basically talking about this is the right strategy in the ad. And how do you know that's the right strategy until you know the person and know what they're actually trying to achieve themselves, what their risk appetite looks like, what they've got currently. Like you can't prescribe a solution if you don't know their situation.
Yeah, and it's dangerous, isn't it?
It's very dangerous.
It's a very, very dangerous game.
Yeah.
Because
Little bits of information here and there is very dangerous.
I think it's about, you change one word and it's a very different message.
For sure.
And I think, even the messaging that I'm trying to put out, even in these podcasts, it's like, hey man, it's very general information. It doesn't take into consideration your personal circumstances.
Yeah.
And that's why I try to keep it very general. I'm sure I know in your post you do as well.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this is a scenario that this could be you.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
If it is something like, then let's have a chat. But mate, there are a lot of myths and a lot of, I guess, shitty things about that buyer's agents do get a bad rap.
Yep.
Right? And there are some valid reasons why, and the same with mortgage brokers.
Sure, yeah.
And there are always the bad eggs. But what are some of the myths in your industry that you're finding, or what are some of the issues that you're finding in your industry, and how do you sort of set yourself apart? Like, how, you've got the generalists and bad eggs and stuff like that over here, and how do you set yourself apart?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest myths is that every buyer's agent is just trying to hone that every single person should buy. And in some cases, there's truth to that. Like there's a reason why that's truth in some people's eyes. And I think it has a lot to do with the barrier to entry to buyers agents and mortgage brokers as well. It's relatively low still. And I think when obviously what financial advisors have just gone through over the last 10 years, I think some of that will probably start to happen in our industries. And it needs to happen because if you look at buyers agents, it's a relatively high ticket product. Excuse me. And when people who more have a better like marketing and sales kind of background move into this industry, they don't have the background knowledge of what can actually go wrong with properties. And so that's where they can actually start advising people really too soon about what properties they should or shouldn't be buying and getting them into structures that really just allow them to get more buyer's agents fees. And it's just more, there's things happening in the industry where people are a little bit more self-interest than looking after the client at the end of the day. And so that's probably one of the biggest myths is that people think that a lot of buyer's agents are just buy. Whereas last week I talked 3 people out of buying a property altogether and they were ready to go.
Mate,
so
you and Chris McNulty are very much the same. So Chris McNulty is one of the buyer's agents that I've had on this podcast. He's happily tells the client, "No, we're pulling that contract. We're not doing that. It doesn't work. Sorry, mate. I don't want to waste your money. Let's go. We'll find you another one."
Yeah.
And to me, hearing that from a buyer's agent builds so much trust that they've got your back.
Yeah.
Because that's what you don't need. I say this in my calls with clients, when I'm trying to find out who's on their team. One of the questions I ask is, who tells you no?
Yeah, that's like sometimes the best advice is no or not yet.
Yeah. And who challenges your thinking?
Yeah, that's it.
Who's responsible for your structure?
Yeah.
Mate, and I always say, like, I'm not a yes guy.
Yeah.
You'll probably hear no if it doesn't feel right and I don't think you're giving me the right answers, or you haven't done the right research, or your team's just not, I don't already know who's in your team.
Yeah.
There's holes. Maybe we need to pump the brakes, get it right, because the time we spend now and the people we surround ourselves with now
For sure.
is going to have a major impact in 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And when we talk about property cycles, they're 10 to 15 year property cycles, right?
For sure.
You want to be with the right team now.
Yeah. And like making the wrong decisions up front can be so costly in 10 years time as well. When you're like, if in 15 years time, you're like, oh yeah, I wanted to give this property to my child and you've got it in your own personal name, that's a very costly exercise.
Yeah.
There's ways to do that in a more smart, tax effective way.
Yeah.
So just asking those questions up front can be really important.
But if you haven't planned for it, how do you know it's going to happen?
If there's no plan, if you don't know where you're going, how do you know what the next step is?
It's like shutting your eyes and throwing a dart at a dartboard, hoping that you hit the board.
That's it.
And make a thing. And look, it works for some people, but it works less than it works more. It works less than it actually pulls off.
That's it.
Mate, look, I mean, you talk about some buyer's agents giving advice that they shouldn't be giving. It's happened in my industry. One of the major changes to trust lending has happened because and this came directly from the bank, buyer's agents giving advice on unlimited lending when it's not unlimited lending.
No.
And it's not unlimited lending, but there are some brokers that will say, yeah, unlimited lending, yeah, you can just go buy on top. It's so great. I tell you, like, you buy in a trust, you got to know, even one of our clients that we're working with, and they're like, oh, should I buy in a trust? I'm like, you've only got one property. Why do you need to? You're high income earners, you've only got one property. Probably not. Maybe the third property we buy in a trust. Once we buy the third property, maybe then you go rent vest. Now you got two properties, tax. But that's just my thoughts. I'm going to put you in contact with this person. This is in relation to tax advice.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not giving you tax advice. I'm giving you structural advice that I've seen. The appreciation that they had for that, not forcing them in. Okay, you don't need to spend the money.
Yeah.
Let's just get some good quality assets in play.
Yeah, and also it's like, what's the reason why you want to buy in trust in the first place?
Yeah.
Like they sometimes don't have an answer for that. It just might be they saw an Instagram reel or something, but like maybe they've got some sort of asset protection issues or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. It's like, so there could be a reason why they're thinking about doing it, but if it's just, Instagram told me to do it, then you probably want to get
just
advice.
Want to conserve my borrowing capacity. You got one property. They didn't say that. Like that's not what they.
Yeah.
I think with them it was just like a curious question. I don't think they'd seen it. I said, yeah, we can do that, but it's not a. And I had Morgan, my accountant, on this podcast not too long ago, and we were just talking about. People get into trust lending too early.
Yeah.
And people just accumulate the wrong properties under trust because, and then they go, oh, I'm paying so much tax. I want to set up a trust. So I'm like, but you can't.
Yeah.
That's not why you set the trust up
That's
for.
it.
It's the delayed gratification versus the instant gratification of the tax. But, there are also some, like you said, the barrier for entry, right? There are a lot of buyer's agents just coming on the market, just going, I'm a buyer's agent. How do you, forget that you're a buyer's agent for a sec. Put your consumer hat on. How would you pick the right buyer's agent for you? Like, what question should you be asking a buyer's agent?
So there's a few specific questions. I like to get them to ask about qualifications, just to give people some knowledge about the qualifications you need to be a buyer's agent. When I left that financial planning company to start my own buyer's agency, I needed to obviously get my own licensing and everything else. So when I did the qualification, it was a 4-hour multiple choice exam and then a 1-day role playing with someone else just to confirm that I know what I'm doing. So realistically, it took me 12 hours to get my qualification. So there's a lot of buyer's agents in the market that only have 12 hours of study and that's all they've done. And so I've been financial planning, mortgage broking, they're all very highly compliant industries. I've also done a master's degree. Those kind of qualifications massively outweigh the Cert 4 in real estate that I've done. So qualifications is something that's important because you need to make sure that someone's gone through ethical trainings and understands risks and all that kind of stuff. But also, how long have they actually been investing in property themselves? Because if you have someone who's just entered the market in the last 3 years and they just think that you can't lose with property, they're wrong. They haven't gone through an actual crash in the market. So how do they know that? If you're entering into a really bullish market, then you're just going to look at properties as like almost risk free, and they're probably going to be making some bad decisions for what you should be buying next. I just think how long they've been in the industry, what have they built themselves, what qualifications do they actually have? And when you're talking to some of the big buyer's agents, I think it's important for you to understand the process that you'll be going through with that company as well. So are you just talking to a salesperson or are you talking to the buyer's agent themselves? After the salesperson signs you on, what happens then? Because if you go to a onboarding specialist, then a research person, then a pre-settlement person, then a post-settlement account manager. Are you comfortable with that? Do you want to get passed around a big company? Because that's a big thing as well. So I cap my client numbers at 2 per week maximum. So I can always adjust my pricing depending on demand. But I wanted to do that so that if I sign a client today, I'm on it tomorrow. I'm doing their strategy. I'm onboarding them. We're already starting the research within like a few days of them signing on. So by capping those client numbers, I can just really make sure that those client numbers get the results.
Difference between a generalist and a specialist.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
it's really, it's the same in my
for sure. Like if I'm only doing 104 clients a year, then there's going to be 104 within my niche every single year. I don't need to worry about that. So if I'm not trying to bring on 150 a month, then that's
but
doable.
then the 104 they'll come and do more.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
yeah,
it's not it's 104. Then you've got the organic.
Yeah.
Because they know you've done a good job and
Yeah.
they know, like, and trust you, and you've built something out. You've not just done one property, but be like, hey, if we do this based on. So let's talk about the client that we're working with.
Yeah.
Like, I've already given you the brief. Like, I don't think you ever get that from a.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do. I work very differently. I'm just like, hey, right, why don't you talk to these clients? This is their position. This is what we've got. This is what we can do. We have no issues with servicing. And I gave you some really high level numbers.
Yeah.
Which are like, so I've qualified them.
Yeah.
But I just need the advice from you. And that I sent them to you because I think that they'll match the personality that they're looking for. Right?
Yeah.
And their philosophy is pretty much the same as you want to buy quality assets, because I've coached them. Okay, man, next quality assets, we've got to do this.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you what to buy.
Yeah,
that's not my specialty. I can do the debt structure.
Yeah.
So, like, for you, that's going to be a great deal. Like, I mean, it'll work. I've already talked to them. They're really happy with the way that you spoke with them, and
Awesome.
You know, you haven't pushed them. They won't push you. But how much, like, you get a lead from, let's say, a broker. Is it ever like the type that I just gave you? Like, as in, mate, here's all the info. Just, I'm sending you these guys, but here's the brief.
Brokers aren't too bad, because I try to keep my panels really small so that way I can reciprocate as well. Same with advisors. I only try to work with one or two, maybe three at a maximum. So it's just that way I can help them. You know, if someone doesn't have insurance or estate planning, or they haven't got their finance sorted, then I can at least give some money, business back. So yeah, because I'm very selective on who I choose to work with. The ones that I've got do give me pretty good information. It's more when I get a lead from, you know, someone who's not like a professional, and it's like, oh, this person wants to buy a property, and then I have a chat with them, and they're completely the wrong person, or they weren't even looking to buy a property.
Go find me a property.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there's realestate.com.
Yeah, that's it.
You don't need me to pay.
So those kind of leads are probably the worst ones, but professionals, you know, it's usually pretty good.
Yeah, and I think the more information you can share with each other, the better.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I work in debt structure and strategy, and I want to model at least 2 to 3 purchases out for the client. And, you know, with these ones, I've already said, mate, with this and the type of policies we're using, here's 2 right here. We can pull the trigger on 2. And then once this is done, it's 3.
Yeah.
So we've sort of modeled that out, and you just need you to go to the right person to get that property, and then let time do its thing.
Yeah.
You know, you touched on this is going to be a great segue, because you touched on just before the questions you ask about, like, what questions should people ask a buyer's agent around, you know, what's your property portfolio look like, mate? How did you buy your first property, and what does it look like? What is your like back then? Like, when did you buy your first? How did you buy your first property? When did you buy it? And what does your property portfolio look like now? Like, what type of assets? I don't care about the numbers, but like, feel free if you want to share the numbers. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Well, my first property was it was probably the craziest story you'll ever hear of someone buying their first property. So I was 18 years old. My mum luckily was in my head, just going, "You need to buy a property. You need to buy a property. You need to buy a property." She just kept hounding me. My parents, you know, didn't come from a lot. So when they bought their first property, they knew the benefits of owning property and building equity. So they just, from a young age, all of us boys were just getting told, as soon as we hit 18, you have to buy a property. And so I was getting this conversation almost every night for 3 months. And eventually I'm like, okay, let's just sit down. Let's work out how we're going to do this. And so mum's plan was, okay, you need to stop going out. And I was red flag immediately. I'm like, I'm not going to stop going out. I'm just turned 18. But she's worked out my cash flow and said, you're basically spending all your extra money on partying. You need to stop that so you can start building up a deposit to buy this property. And it was going to take like 3 years to buy this property. And I said, this is not happening. And so I was a DJ at the time when I was like 18. And so I was playing at Home Nightclub in Sydney at the time. That's where I was living. And I was sitting there DJing. There was about 1,000 people at this club. And I just started thinking in my head while I'm playing, there's 1,000 people here. They all paid $25 to get in here. I need 25 grand for this deposit. I'm just going to put an event on. It was just so simple and easy outcome for this. So as soon as I finished my set, I went down and spoke to the guy who promoted me or booked me and said, how did you put this event on? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, how did you do this? And so he goes, well, you just need venue, public liability insurance, security, lighting, sound, DJs, and then you just got to convince 1,000 people to come. That's the hard part. So he's like, I can help you put on an event in like 20 minutes, but as getting 1,000 people and promoting it and marketing it, that's going to be the real hard part because you're a first time event. People are going to be like, what is this event? Especially in Sydney where it's very competitive. And so I just met up with this guy the following week and he's told me how much this party was going to cost. We decided to put it on at the Rebels Bike Clubhouse out in Western Sydney. So it's a registered venue and everything, but it's at the Rebels Clubhouse. And so, I worked out all the numbers. It was going to cost me like $7,000 to put this party on. I had a car and a motorbike that equated to about $7,000. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to sell those. I'm going to use that money to put on this party. I'm going to promote it every single day as much as I possibly can for the next 6 months. Get as many people as I possibly can in, and then try and get the property that way. And so I needed 180 people to break even. And I ended up getting about 1,000 people through the door. And I bought the property like 2 weeks later. But just going home and telling my mum, like, hey, I've worked out a new plan. I'm not going to stop going out. I'm actually going to go out way more because I'm going to promote this event. And I'm going to sell everything I own. I'm going to put on this underground rave at a bikie clubhouse. And I'm going to sell tickets and I'm going to get the deposit that way. And they were obviously very, very against the idea. Yeah. But it worked. So I worked every single day, every single night, trying to get this party off the ground and getting people to buy tickets. Got DJs playing there for the first time and getting them to sell 20 tickets to their friends. Ended up getting the numbers through the door and bought the property like 2 weeks later.
Did you walk into now all I can picture now, this is what I'm picturing. You've walked into your parents' house with a black duffel bag. They're sitting at the dining table. And you just dropped the bag on the dining table and they're like, hang on a sec.
It was funny. Like I pretty much did exactly that. So I came home at it was like 9 a.m. by the time we packed up and everything. And came home with a backpack. I put this really depressed look on my face. Like, everything's gone wrong. I've lost everything. And my parents are sitting either side of the table. I could see in their face they were trying so hard not to say I told you so. And there was this awkward silence for at least probably 10 seconds, but it felt like an hour. And eventually I just unzipped this bag and tipped it upside down. Money just went everywhere. And I was like, yeah, party went really, really, really well. So
yeah, wow. And I didn't have to sell my body.
Yeah.
That's great. Just had to sell this party. So, okay, so that was your first property. When was that? What year was that?
That was 2006.
Do you still have that property?
No, I just sold it last year. So I used that property it took a while to build some equity because it was just an apartment. But I used the equity to buy the second one. The second one did a lot better because it was a house. Then the third one, just started compounding from there. Got it up to 5 properties. And then the interest rates were just so high that, realistically, the number percentage wasn't that high. But when you got like millions of dollars of debt, it's a lot. And so I started thinking, do I really want to be like have to work my butt off to just pay the interest on this bulk of loans? Or do I just sell it and buy the dream home that we've been talking about for ages? A lot of the markets we were looking at buying were starting to get a bit out of reach, and Bribey Island was still doable. And we wanted like an A car with like a really nice house. And so I decided one day, you know what, I'm going to sell all the investment properties. Well, not all of them, still got one. Sell the investment properties, use the equity, pay the capital gains taxes. That was fun. And then just use the proceeds to buy the dream home debt free. And I was like, let's do it. So, and honestly, if you go back 5 years ago, I would have said there's no way I would ever do that. I'm like, buy and hold, do not sell. But it was the most refreshing thing that I've probably ever done.
But you had a plan.
I had a plan, yeah.
But you've bought, no, I agree with that to a certain extent, but I don't agree with it in the sense that you've bought with a plan.
Yeah.
Right. You sold with a plan.
Yeah.
And the plan was to buy a non-tax deductible asset.
For sure.
Now, there's no way you're spending $1 million. I'm not saying that you spend $1 million, but let's say you're not spending $1 million in it, knowing what you know.
Yeah.
If you told me you spent $1 million and you took an 80% loan when you could have just liquidated assets, paid the capital gains, which would then, you're now basically you've got a debt-free property, which then you can recycle the equity and go buy more property should you wish to do so.
Yeah, then that's the plan now. So now that I know what properties to buy as well. Like I've worked in buyer's agency. I've been mentored by a really good buyer's agency in the country. now I'm going to build up the portfolio using that equity to just build it up again, focus on passive income next.
But it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to restart. It's, you've built it up. You've got the goal. You did the goal.
Yeah.
You still have one investment property. But that's still good. You still grew with purpose.
For sure.
It's
more like your philosophy just evolves over time, I guess. Yeah.
I'm rent vesting.
Yeah.
I went through a marital separation. I actually did pay the whole mortgage off before we separated, but then I had to remortgage the place. And it was this massive house with only me and my daughter in it.
Yeah.
Every second week. And I'm so far out I'm in whoop whoop, as Jana, my new partner, calls it. But now I've moved to Everton Park. I'm rented the other property out.
Yep.
And I just feel like if I had to buy the property in Everton Park, it would actually cost me double what I'm renting for at the moment. So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I've got a positively cash flowed property with 60% equity still in it.
Yeah.
Leverage that. Jana and I bought a property in Crestmead, renovated that, and we're building another property at the back. We'll strata it. We've got 4 properties between the two of us.
Yeah, that's all. Rent vesting, I believe is I rent vested all my 20s. I used the first property to go traveling for a couple of years, come back and then just live in a share house or something like that. So rent vesting's perfect for the right scenario. I think it's more when you've got if you want to build a family stuck at the same schools and stuff like that, that's when maybe buying the property can make more sense. That from a numbers purely perspective, rent vesting can make sense a lot, especially when you I've just got a $25,000 sewer pump system that I've got to replace now. I don't have to do that if I was renting.
Yeah,
I just moved to a new house. So I guess there's pros and cons. If you want to build the long-term legacy at that house, it's hard with rent vesting, but there's definitely pros and cons.
And I think you need to get the advice. I got the advice on that before doing it, right? So you just don't do it. And also, it is good, but it only works for certain people. If you're not, I think it works well with the business owners.
Yep.
But also, if you're a high income earner, it could work quite well for you because it's a tax. There's no, you're not paying you're just paying the basics, paying rent.
Yeah, for sure.
Internet,
especially if you want to rent or live in one of those massive designer homes where a lot of the depreciation is in the building itself, the land's not going up as much as the big building is depreciating. Those kind of situations actually makes more sense to rent vest. And
I guess what I'm really trying to say is get the advice because there's different strategies to do it. Your strategy was very different to my strategy.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm also rebuilding.
Yeah.
I had a investment property, had to sell it, made a good profit.
Yeah. There you go.
But when you're starting again, I don't think people need to be afraid to start again. I don't think there's been a better time to buy property, and I don't think there's been as much information being put out there. Some of it's a bit shit, but the key thing is I've surrounded myself with the right people.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Not yes people. We had Troy on here before. He's like, no, you're not doing that because it doesn't fit your plan.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, bro. That's what I paid you the money for.
That's it. Yeah.
Just I'll listen to you. No worries. Same with Chris when he bought the property for us out at Crestmead. This is why you should buy the property. Here are the numbers. Don't get emotionally attached. Great.
Yeah.
No worries. That's a no-brainer. You're basically turning one property into 2. With very minimal fuss.
Yeah.
So, again, right advice, right people. So what is the portfolio, what is the plan for you, with your property journey now? Where do you see, or are you happy happy advising?
Yeah, I'm happy keeping the business small client numbers. I do want to grow the business eventually, but the main reason I had that kind of snap decision wasn't really a snap decision, but it was probably a lifestyle adjustment. We just had the young kids. We got 2 young kids. We had 2 big dogs in a small 400 square block. We were just outgrowing the house, and we always wanted to get that acreage home. And so it just kind of made more sense at that time just to sell and do it again. But I think moving forward, now that I've felt the ease of no debt, I'm maybe I'll just want to focus a bit more on lifestyle, building up slower, not as fast as what I did previously, but also, more focus on making financial decisions that are going to either get my time back even more or not make me need to work harder to make it work. So it's probably, I've got a different mindset to what I had probably 10 years ago.
And that's the thing, right? It changes with different stages in your life and things like that. But no, man, it's really been interesting to see your journey. And mate, that story's a cracker. Like, I was like waiting for the punchline, and it's like Rebels Bike Club. I'm like, holy crap. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But everyone does it in their own way.
Yeah.
Right? And that's probably one of the most unique. It's a great icebreaker. It's absolutely great. Let me tell you about my first house, and and people will really relate to it, right? Because you worked hard.
Yeah, that's it.
And if you work hard for yourself, gosh, you're going to work hard for others too.
For sure.
But before we go, tell us about. I forgot to ask this before. How'd you come up with the name Avid Hawkes? Like, I know why, like you've told me before, but how the hell did you come up with the name?
Yeah, I was trying to, because everyone's got name buyer's agent or something like that for the names of their companies. And I wanted to come up with a more creative name that's kind of tells me what I do for the client. And so if you think Avid's an eager person, someone who's going to work really, really hard for you. Whereas a hawk, how they circle their prey. So if we choose a specific target market, we know every agent in that area. We know which streets to be buying on. We know which properties to be targeting. And so we apply a hawk preying their target to how we're targeting specific markets in Australia. So that's how I came up with Avid Hawkes. And yeah, it kind of makes people think like, what's this about? But that's how I came up with it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you think of it, or did your wife think of it?
No, I thought of it. Yeah. So
did your wife work in the business as well?
Well, she's very busy being an amazing stay-at-home mum at the moment.
Yeah.
So maybe she'll start working in the business or do something else. I'm not sure.
Gives you the flexibility once you grow into the giant.
But she that was another thing. Like, by selling the properties, she had no reason to work, so she can just focus on being a mum. Especially while they're super young.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's a hard time. So yeah, now I work from home. She gets to spend all the time looking after the kids, and I can just help in between meetings and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a good dynamic.
Yeah, they're really hard. My daughter's 13 in March.
Yeah.
So it's like
different
me
problems.
You don't want to hang with me. I'm not cool enough. But no, man. Hey, it's been great listening to your journey. Hopefully we'll get you back on soon as well, talking about real life situations and things like that, and some other things. Obviously there'll be a few changes happening in the future with property, etc. So I'd love to get your insights on that.
Yep.
But mate, if a client wants to get a hold of you off this podcast, how do they do that?
Yeah, I think just go to www.avidhawkes.com.au. It's AVIDHAWKS. And yeah, all the information about me, my situation, you can book a call there if you want to just have a quick chat, obligation free, of course. And if you're interested, I'm releasing my first book, Property with Purpose, on the 19th of February.
Nice.
So you'll be able to find that on Amazon, hard copy. So yeah.
Digital Kindle?
Digital Kindle if you want that.
Nice.
Otherwise you can get the full hard copy one, not paperback. So I just thought I'd.
So you did the voice?
I haven't spoken. I've done the audio yet, so I will eventually. But I haven't sat down and read it properly.
Yeah. You wrote the book.
I wrote the book, and then I read it. I did read it as I was writing it, but doing the actual audio book part, I haven't done that yet.
That's cracking. So, that's awesome. Yeah. I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Look forward to getting a signed copy.
I'll send you one.
Yeah, awesome. As always, information on this podcast is very general in nature, doesn't take into consideration your personal circumstances. If you want to talk property and what type of property is the right one for you, or get a property strategy, mate, Michael, Avid Hawkes, you've got the website. He's on LinkedIn too. I don't know about Instagram. Are you on Instagram?
I'm all the channels, but LinkedIn's the only one I'm actually personally active on.
Awesome. So. And if you want to get a hold of me for a finance strategy to aid in your property buying strategy, you can find me at Dion Finance Specialist on Instagram, Dion Fernandez on LinkedIn, this website for this podcast, financethispropertythat.com.au. But mate, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And everyone else, we'll see you on the next episode.